Hello, I am back. It's Dr. Stephanie, and I wanted to talk a little bit more about leveling up and what I learned from leveling up. In the last video, I talked about how I have had to level up, and I wanted to just really share some of the things that I've learned. And the first thing that I learned was I learned a whole heck of a lot about myself in that personal growth process because I think leveling up is an inside job. It's really about us expanding our consciousness and growing and having that personal growth. That's what allows us to level up. I really don't think about it as something where you're kind of increasing your status above somebody else's status. I really think it's an inside job. And in my personal growth journey, and as I've expanded my consciousness, one of the things that I have learned is how to self reflect and assess myself honestly. We all have strengths and we all have things that we're not as good at. And one of the things that I realized is that those things that are not my strengths are just okay. And I've learned how to use my voice and ask for help when I need it. Uh, I'll give you an example. I used to think that I was like really good with technology. I'm all right with technology, but when technology is changing as fast as it is, and when we have generations who have grown up doing technology, whereas I learned it like maybe in the second half of my life, I cannot consider myself to be a technological genius, which I did. So I was a little arrogant about my technology skills. And once I was able to see, well, I'm pretty good, but I'm not as good as I thought I was, then I could ask for help in those areas. And it tripped me up a couple of times because having that belief that this was something that I was just a whiz at held me back. So I learned a lot about myself and I learned how to use my voice and I learned how to ask for help. Because once you level up and you go to your next level of greatness, whether that's in your personal life or professional life, there are going to be some things that you cannot do yourself. So you have to let go of that idea that you have to do everything yourself. Another thing that I learned from leveling up was self leadership. I had to learn how to motivate my damn self, right? Because sometimes there's nobody there to tell you where to go, where to be, what time to be there, how long to stay. You have to motivate yourself and you have to learn how to lead yourself. Because if you're going to be a leader of others, the first person you need to learn how to lead is yourself. And so I definitely learned self leadership. And another thing that I learned by leveling up is curiosity. I just learned how to be really curious about things that I might have been fearful of. I just became really curious. Wow, I don't quite understand that yet, but I'm really curious as to how that works, or I'm really curious as to how they did that, or I'm really curious about me. Why did I respond this way? What's showing up for me? And I just have been really curious. And I think that those are some things that I've definitely learned by leveling up. In the last video, I talked about how I had to learn things. I had to go to training. I had to sit in a classroom again. I had to gain new skills. I had to learn from people who were younger than me. All of those things. I had to step outside of my comfort zone and get uncomfortable in order to level up. And I continue to do that every day, as I'm sure you do as well. And I would love to hear what things you have learned by leveling up. I know those probably aren't the most common things that people would think of, but those are some of the things that are top of mind for me that I've learned by leveling up. And the other thing that I just wanted to share is that as I talk about leveling up being an inside job, and it's really about expanding your consciousness and seeing all of the different choices that you have, I have learned how to really mind my mind. I've learned to really make sure that my thoughts are thoughts that are in alignment with where I'm going and not where I was. That my thoughts are in alignment with who I'm becoming and not who I was in the past. And sometimes our minds like to go back down memory lane, and it's okay to take a stroll, but not to stay there, not to take up permanent residence in memory lane or in regrets or in what ifs or in I wish I would have or I wish I could have. Um, I like to keep my mind in a positive sense by making sure that I'm doing my affirmations and that I'm spending some time in meditation. And that when I do have those thoughts that are not serving me, that I become conscious and aware of them and then shift them. And that's how I continue to expand and continue to level up and continue to learn all of these amazing things that I've learned by leveling up. And please put some information in the comments below and let me know what you've learned by leveling up. Until next time, bye bye.